Hey, welcome back to Get Down to Business. Joining us today is Ravi Kathuria. I've been practicing that. Founder of the Houston Strategy Forum and the management consulting firm Cohegic Corporation. Ravi is a recognized business thought leader and executive coach, and he's here to challenge one of the most deeply ingrained beliefs we have about success. In his book, Happy Soul, Ravi makes a powerful and counterintuitive argument that our obsession with outcomes is actually undermining our success and our peace of mind. And I know he advocates for a revolutionary shift in focus from what we achieve to the effort we put in. Ravi, welcome to the program.
Shalom, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be. I've read so much about you, and all the testimonials would say that you are the most connected person in Chicago. I need to come to Chicago soon. Come shake hands with you.
We'll have a cup of coffee. And no, absolutely no. I so appreciate you coming on. And it's really important, especially the topic that you talk about. I'm so passionate about. This conversation is all about this obsession we have with outcomes. Yes. It seems counterintuitive to a lot of people, especially in the business world, which I know both you and I are connected in, that focusing on results is actually a bad thing. Can you explain your core premise? Why does obsessing about outcomes undermine our success?
What a beautiful question. What a beautiful question. And what a powerful point to talk about, because we have heard of CEOs and certainly Hollywood characters say, if you don't win, quitters are never remembered. And if you don't come first, nobody remembers the person who comes second, right? So it's all about winning. It's all about winning. And you go in companies that will tell you, focus on results. Nothing else matters. Wow. And that is ingrained in us.
Yeah.
And what that turns into is obsession with outcomes.
And Ravi, you suggest that we should place 90% of our focus on effort and only 10% on outcomes. For a busy professional or a business owner that's listening, how does this look like in practice? How do we retrain our brains to shift that focus?
Yes, great question. And so what is the problem with the obsession with outcomes? There is a saying in tennis, especially, is if you focus on the ball, the score will take care of itself. Now, that is an idealistic statement. The thing is, you have to focus on outcomes. You cannot ignore outcomes. The problem is when all we do is just think about outcomes and do not put enough effort in making things happen, right? And when we focus exclusively on outcomes, we become fearful, we become irritable, and we make decisions that are not the best decisions that you make for the long term and really for achieving the outcomes. When we focus on the effort, when we really focus on what needs to be done and focus on excellence, keeping the outcome in mind, don't ignore the outcome. Let the outcome be there, but focus on excellence. And then what happens is outcomes start becoming the byproducts of your effort.
Ravi, your first book, How Cohesive Is Your Company, focused on leadership. And your second book, Happy Soul, Hungry Mind, explores spirituality. What's the connection between these two ideas? How does your unique view of spirituality tie into achieving professional and personal success?
Yes, beautiful question, Shalom. My book, Happy Soul, Hungry Mind, is the only non-religious spirituality book on earth which has a chapter on workplace culture, right? All of us spend most of our time at work. And so both of these books, in fact, are conversations between a CEO and his mentor. The first book is his personal transformation that he must go through because he's trying to do a business transformation, keeps failing until he realizes that I need to go through a personal transformation. Then I can be successful at transforming the business. So it's this conversation and his own personal growth that he has to go through, right? Because he's blaming everybody in the company for the company not succeeding except himself. And we find when I've coached executives for now 25, 30 years, and I find that self-awareness lacks in executives. And self-awareness is one of the key characteristics for leadership. The second book also is a conversation with a CEO who is struggling to grow his startup. and doesn't find peace in life. He's gone through family tragedy and is struggling. But how do we marry? How do we marry and get, we work hard in the world and yet be peaceful while we are doing it? How do we pursue success without losing track of what is most important to us, our own life? And feeling peaceful and being connected with your inner peace is the most important thing in life. We need to achieve success, but not to lose our connection with our inner peace. And so both these concepts exist because we are human beings. We need to go out and earn a livelihood. We need to be successful in business and in careers, and yet we need to be peaceful and happy in our lives. We can't have one without the other. Otherwise, our life is lopsided.
Ravi, before we have to cut to a break, you make the case that spirituality is stunningly simple and accessible, not mystical or tied to any religion. Can you define what spirituality means to you and how it's different from religion?
Yes. Let me give you the simplest definition on spirituality. There cannot be a simpler definition than that. Spirituality is simply the experience of your own life force. Shalom, every human being on earth has a life force that makes us living, that keeps us living. When we connect and experience this life force, that is spirituality. It has nothing to do with religion.
We know that so many of our listeners, small business owners, entrepreneurs, are constantly feeling exhausted or on an emotional roller coaster. What would you say is that connection between this constant obsession with outcomes and their overall peace and happiness in life?
Yes, what a beautiful question, Shalom. Again, this is such an important aspect. In fact, it is the secret to both success and happiness. We have to have the self-awareness to know that we are obsessed with our goals. And there is a big difference between passion and obsession. Passion lifts you, obsession controls you and drowns you. Passion helps you look at solutions and keep constantly looking for solutions. Obsession makes you stubborn and obstinate and prevents you from really looking at the situation. So if you find yourself that you're obsessed, stop yourself, because you will deprive yourself of both success and happiness.
Ravi, that's so true. You've chosen to write your books as parables. What drew you to this specific storytelling format, and how does it help you to convey complex ideas about leadership and spirituality in a more accessible way?
Yeah, great question. It's easy to write a theory book. It's very easy to come out and write a theory book, because when you write a theory book, it cannot get challenged. But when you take theory books and you apply the theory in practice, you find that the theory doesn't work. And so I held myself to a higher standard and said, if I'm going to propose a theory, it must work in practice. My first book, How Cohesive is Your Company, is a story about a company and its CEO. And so many readers have come to me and said, oh my God, the people that you talk about in your book, they're sitting on my floor. I can see them right now. You have captured the internal dysfunction that is going on in my company. Did you have cameras on my company? I said, no, I did not. But the stories, the theory has to work in practice. And both these books are about practical implementation. The first one is a business methodology. The second one is a life methodology. We have to apply it. Spirituality is people think it's mystical, it's religious. It's none of that. Spirituality is practical and it's modern and it applies to us. And we need to apply it in our lives and see the difference.
Yeah. And lastly, before writing these books, I've mentioned this before, I know you built a career as a management consultant and the founder of the Houston Strategy Forum. How did your experience working with companies and executives inform your understanding that a culture obsessed with outcomes is ultimately self-defeating?
It is absolutely self-defeating. I've been in management team meetings where they focus on outcomes and they forget to look at the steps that are needed. Right? You talk to salespeople and you compensate them on closing deals. But then the operation teams finds out that the way they have closed the deals and the promises that they have made is going to be very difficult for the company to fulfill that. The salesperson made the promises, got the bonus, and has walked away. Now the operations teams has to come and fulfill, and they're pulling their hair out and say, what kind of a deal was this? When you focus on outcomes, your sales team will deliver it. You have to be really careful about that.
Ravi, we're going to have to leave it there. I've certainly learned so much from you, and I look forward to continuing our conversation in future segments. But how can we find your book? How can we get in touch?
You can get both of these books on Amazon. The first one is called How Cohesive is Your Company? The second one is Happy Soul, Hungry Mind. The first one is a business methodology. It's about leadership. The second one is about non-religious spirituality. It's about life. You can also find the second one, Happy Soul, Hungry Mind, in an audio version as an audiobook on Spotify, Apple. Or if you want to save money, go to YouTube and listen to it on YouTube for free.
I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Ravi. I appreciate it. We'll link in the show notes as well. That's a wrap for us this week on the show all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. I love to hear from our listeners. Get in touch with me at syklein.com. Until next week, to success. Let's get down to business. We'll be back, of course, with many more conversations. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Shalom.